podcast studios. This is After 9 with Scott and Kat.
Hey friends, it's the After 9 podcast, and it's a special edition of the After 9 podcast. Thanks so much for coming along for the ride. If you guys heard, Scott and I had a chat. Scott can't be here, and he's super jealous he can't. But we had a chat with my nutritionist on the podcast, and I don't think I've been inundated with that many DMs about the program from you guys being very excited to learn more about it than when I had her on. So before we bring her in, I'll give you guys a backstory. This is going to be first and foremost about nutrition, about wellness, about taking care of ourselves. And really, it started because I reached out to Jen. I was actually on keto, and this is not to knock any type of diet or what have you that you're into or that works for you. I was on keto for years, so even longtime listeners, you know this because I talked about different keto, desserts that I found and all those things. There just came a time where, for me, in recent months, in this recent year, that I realized I don't think this is for me anymore. It just wasn't working. I felt really restricted. I was missing out on things. And I not even wasn't losing weight, but I had over the last year or so gained about 15 pounds. I wasn't feeling really comfortable. Something was off. So I reached out to a friend of mine who was talking about a program called Metabolic Balance, and she's a fellow radio girl. And so I was like, give me the inside scoop. I know you'll be honest with me. Is this legit, or is someone just paying you to say this? And she said, it is legit. So that is why I'm bringing her to you. We would never do anything like this if we really didn't believe in it. I think you guys know that about us. We only talk about things when we really, really believe in it. So that said, once again, joining us on the After 9 podcast is Jen Vasey. Jen Vasey is a registered holistic nutritionist, and she's a top metabolic balance coach in Canada. Welcome back, Jen.
Hi, thank you, Kat. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Thank you. I'm sure that a lot of our podcast listeners have reached out to you when you were on, which really was like a little bit of an introductory. And what is that? Scott said. So I said, well, why don't we just have her on and we'll talk about it before I do any type of podcast? And then so many people reached out. So I imagine that they were reaching out to you as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's been great. I'm really, really eager and excited to work with your listeners. We've literally just kind of got them onboarding in the last couple of weeks, and I can't wait to generate their own unique, personalized nutrition plan so that they can experience everything that you have been able to experience for yourself.
And we're going to get to a whole bunch of things in here, including a promo code for you guys. And I know you've been waiting on it, so we will have that coming up. And the 12-week transformation program that Jen just launched was just such an exciting program that I was able to take a look at. So I want to talk about those details. But I guess we'll start from scratch in case people missed the pod, or maybe they're just stumbling upon this. And I know this is going to be a loaded question for you, but what is metabolic balance?
Yeah, absolutely. I can dive into detail. So Metabolic Balance was a company that was it's founded by Dr. Wolf Funfack in Germany several years ago, over 25 years ago. And so the program was actually designed to heal patients in his personal clinic, in his practice, with metabolic syndrome. So people were coming to him with hypertension, high cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, just struggling with their overall health and wellness. There's can be, a number of variable health factors or issues that they were dealing with. And so he spent years really studying the science and the chemistry behind an individual person's lab values, what was happening in their body, what is maybe their vitamin and mineral nutrients, like nutrient deficiencies or imbalances in their hormones and their inflammatory marker and their glucose levels, their enzymes, your body's ability to digest and break down certain foods. And so he was also then able to really dive into the chemistry behind whole food. And so every lab value now correlates to specific foods to get you an optimal balance. And so he created custom tailored nutrition plans. And so the plan itself is a health and wellness plan. What I usually refer to it as is a reclaimed quality of life plan, because you feel amazing. You feel your best. Naturally, you will achieve an optimal body weight. So years and years later, a lot of people do approach the plan for weight loss and for achieving a healthy, optimal, sustainable body weight. But that is only achieved because we're actually focusing on your health and wellness. So when we can heal your body holistically with the right foods and the right ratios at the right times of day, you feel so much better because we're reducing inflammation, we're stabilizing blood sugars, we're really focusing on hormonal balance, and then naturally your body just starts to take form to a healthy and sustainable place that works well for you.
I thought the whole process was fascinating, like from the
Yeah.
get-go. The fact that, and it's how I feel like we should all have access to this anyway, but the fact that with metabolic balance, it makes it easier for you because I don't know who to ship it off to. Like, who am I shipping it off to? So through you, I was able to do blood work. I'll take you through the steps of the beginning for those who are wondering, like the specifics of how it works. Is once you have your consult with Jen, and definitely recommend having a quick chat about it. Or if you feel like you know everything, great, jump right into the program. But you'll get the blood test, the lab rec. So you go and you get your blood taken, and then once it comes back, the food list, I promise you guys that you will be amazed at all the foods that you can eat. The first phase, well, do you want to go through the first phase? I have a nickname for the first phase, which only lasts 2 days, but I call I call it the soup and poop.
Yeah.
Basically, that one is the only true cleanse, guys. You will know, and it was a gentle cleanse. It was not even, I don't even like you, because people automatically think like, oh no, like it's like taking slosh before you get a colonoscopy. No, it's actually like quite gentle, but it does set you off on the right foot, right?
Yeah. And so absolutely, I can go through the phases of the program. So yeah,
That
so
would be
first
great.
off, you're absolutely right. Your own personalized nutrition plan will always have a really good amount and a good variety of proteins, vegetables, fruits, and other starches and carbohydrates. So we're not removing macronutrients. You're having really, really well-balanced meals. And so yes, the first phase is a gentle 2-day cleanse. So you take some magnesium citrate in the morning, and magnesium citrate will draw water to the colon to promote bowel movements. You're still eating 3 times that day. So you're having like a light protein and fruit breakfast, and you're doing a homemade vegetable soup or a light salad for lunch and dinner. So it is lighter eating. It is a very gentle colon cleanse. You drink your water, you get to bed early, you get a good sleep. It's 2 days. It's very, very manageable. So very manageable 2 days. Then we move into phase 2, where for 2 weeks, we're only eating the foods on your plan and this is where, again, there's a great variety of foods to choose from. You can piece your meals together using the ones that you like the most. But this is where I tell people, I cannot wait for you to experience how you feel after these 2 weeks. It is like magic. It's science, but it feels magical. After those 2 weeks is when we move into the next phase. And really, in my opinion, the next phase, which is phase 3, which is Kat, where you've been for a couple of months now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the magic happens. Because in my opinion, phase 3 is where you actually find a sustainable lifestyle, balance. You really learn so much about yourself in that time. And what you learn, is going to benefit you forever. And so it's the long-term sustainability that I'm focused on. So a little more dialed in the first couple of weeks, and then a lot more flexible, but still progress. We're still focusing on a desired outcome or desired goal. And then we move to phase 4, which is maintenance, which you're so well equipped by the time you get there. You just know what to do. It just becomes your life.
It's your life. That's exactly, and it's not a life that you're like, oh, I guess you don't feel stuck. Like, I guess that's why I went back to letting people know I was on keto, because I think it was important to add in that for me, this is like freedom. It's freedom. My daily meals, even though they're not set, you can absolutely do set meals if you want to. Like, for example, like every morning, Monday to Friday anyway, I do my oatmeal. So I do my oatmeal with fruit. Like, I couldn't have those things. Or I thought in my mind, the only way I could be healthy or do something right for myself was restricting myself from those, which is so, like, now that I know what I know, and now that I've been through this program, I'm like, how ridiculous, that I used to skip breakfast altogether thinking, yeah, that's for the best if I'm not very hungry. Now I get excited for breakfast. Now I get to eat foods that I want to eat. And it's all part of that food list, and I mean, you mentioned it, there's all kinds to pick from in every single category. I've tried foods actually that I hadn't had before because they were on my food list. I thought maybe I should get into that. So I've added them to my recipe list. And it really is incredible. And I feel like if you feel like life should, if you want to live a healthy lifestyle, you have to feel restricted. That's not what this is.
No.
It's the opposite, and you nailed it with, you just kind of make it your life, and you're okay with making it your life because you have so many options. You can go out to restaurants and have those options.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think it's so important. So many clients are like, I get so excited about my meals. Like you said, now I wake up, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to have my like really good morning oats, and there's balance. I think I remember you sending a picture of like your goat cheese flatbread that you were having for lunch, and you're like, this is delicious. Like things that are really enjoyable. But again, it's the right foods, and it's the right ratios, and it's the right times, and it orchestrates those changes in the body. And so you feel so good. And then when food is making you feel that way, and it's also so satisfying because your meals are balanced, like filling meals, you feel really good after you eat them. it's just how you just want to keep living.
Yeah. And everybody's going to come back with a different outcome with this. Like, for example, mine includes dairy. Some might not include as much dairy as I'm allowed. So that's why it's so important to go through this process, instead of just assuming, because that's what I think it was, is more of an assumption, like I have to eat this or I can't eat that. That's not necessarily true. Of course, portions come into play with anything, and anybody will tell you that. However, it's not restrictive. I feel full at the end of the day. So it really is great. I got a lot of DMs when you came on. Our listeners, which we love so much, can be very vulnerable with us, and we love to chat with them, whether it's by text or DM. And a lot of the people who had messaged me about this program when they heard you on, Jen, were saying a lot of the same things. I've been on pills for years. Every time I go to the doctor to try to figure out if I can find a way to prevent something, it's more of a, no, let's just give you the script. And it's not to knock any doctors out there, because I think that what we need to realize as well, where we are, doctors are very busy. They don't have time to sit down. It's not like they can call you out of the blue and be like, let's talk about your preventative health and your nutrition. Why don't you come in for a quick chat? They simply just don't have time for that. And that's not what's, so we do need to advocate for ourselves in that way. We do need to take those steps. So I'm glad it's there. But a lot of people, and you let me know who comes to you the most, because I got like a glimpse of who comes to you just by my DMs. And I can see such a wide range of frustration between, those meds that I talk about, from, yes, being overweight, not understanding how their body works. I mean, who comes to you the most mainly, and what's the variation of issues that have been solved through metabolic balance?
Yeah, no, I think that's such a great question. And I really do believe that the plan there's a learning curve that everyone can benefit from. I can confidently say you will learn so much in our experience and our time and our journey together that it will be valuable to you. Predominantly, the majority of the clients that I do work with, I have to say, are really, really busy. They're busy, they're full-time working, oftentimes they're parents as well. So they have they're living oftentimes in we live in this fast-paced world, right? And sometimes it's just these convenience items. And so, yes, they're looking for change. Yes, they want to focus on their preventative, healthcare for sure. They definitely do not want to be dependent on medications, and if they're not already there. But they need a nutrition plan, and they need something that is just simple, something that can integrate into their very, busy lives with ease. Whole food, get it at the grocery store. Not a bunch of pills, not injections, not a bunch of shakes or proprietary foods. Just like, tell me what to eat for my body. What is my body? What are the right foods for me? I will tell you, yes, I work with a ton of people who do suffer from metabolic syndrome. They do suffer with the things that we've been talking about, and we're able to significantly improve. Oftentimes, we are able to reverse medications. Clearly, you would work very closely with your family physician if when it comes to any changes in medications. But our nutrition, what we're putting into our body, is such an integral part of every single day of our lives. And you're right, you don't get that. You don't get that with your doctor. You don't get to sit down and have a lovely conversation around, well, what are you eating? What does your nutrition look like? They don't do food logs. They don't even, like you said, you have to advocate for yourself. You really have to advocate and go on your own kind of learning curve. And so what you learn about your body, what you learn about how foods affect your body, you really start to learn about, insulin regulation. What stable blood sugars hold so much responsibility for our energy and for our mental clarity and our focus and our sleep. And so even just starting to learn about these things, once you have that knowledge and you always have it. And so what I tell people is, of course, life ebbs and flows. We're going to go on vacations, or we're going to have events, or you have, stressful times in your life. But when you can keep grounding yourself with habits that will work for you. They benefit you even during those times. And you're always equipped with, what to kind of navigate yourself back onto if you ever feel yourself slip a bit. And so I think that's really important, is that my goal is, at the end of our time together, never, ever do you feel like, what else is out there? What else should I try? This, new supplement on the market, or this new that. It's like, I actually just I always know what to do.
It's so true. I feel like the education part is just as important as the actual going through the motions itself. It's so true. Before I want to carry on next to talk about the 12-week transformation steps, and what I love about the easy to use guide that you put together for everybody. I will mention for those who are like clamoring to go to Jen's website and find out more about her while they're listening to the pod, it is Jen. I'm going to say the RHN because I said the, and I had someone message me and say, Jen V RHN, nothing's popping up. And I'm like, oh, sorry, the. Maybe I should have said the. So Jen, the, THE, RHN, and that's a registered holistic nutritionist. Go to her website. And you can use a promo code, and we'll mention it a couple of times. So I'll do it here. There's the promo right now is $200 off if you use CAT 200. So it's KAT 200. If you're going to go ahead and buy into the program right away, fantastic. If you want to just book a consult with Jen, go ahead, hassle-free, really easy. Book that consult with Jen right on the main page of her site as well. And all the details are in this podcast description too, guys. So if you want to check out the pod description, go for it. Jen, when it comes to your 12-week transformation program, it couldn't be easier to follow. And I mean that as coming from as like a busy parent who's like, okay, what do I have to do? What do I have to research? What do I have to, you make it so easy. I'm a visual learner. So the videos that you have for your every single week, I find really, really helps out with being able to figure out, okay, what am I hyping myself up for? And I found myself actually getting hyped up watching the videos that you put together. So this is actually like a newer program. Can you tell us what made you want to put together this 12-week transformation program?
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so I've taken as a coach, as working with the Metabolic Balance program for years now, I took everything that I knew to be effective. Of course, it is we do your blood work, we get your personalized nutrition plan from our medical team of doctors who are in Germany. And I've always focused on my 4 pillars of health, which is nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress management. And then as I'm working and coaching and working with clients, I do see that there's still some pieces that people could benefit from a little bit more attention to. So things like mindset work, added accountability, time management, that can be a tricky one. Habit building, certainly a little bit more attention on like actionable steps for the stress pillar when we're having, stressful days. And so what I did is I brought in like an amazing success coach. Her name is Haley Patry, and she's a big part of the program. And so I really just took everything that I knew to work and I just added, I did a value add to make sure that every piece of it is covered. And so what we did is we designed it in a way that every week builds off the last, because in no way am I going to say, okay, here's your nutrition plan. And then here's, an exercise protocol, and make sure you're following the sleep hygiene routine. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, no, like, hold on. The nutrition is the anchor. So for the first few weeks, like that is the focus. Let's get you really grounded with the nutrition pillar. So again, there's a workbook that you get, and every week builds off of the last. And so the first week, we're just, again, getting you started on your plan. The second week, we are diving in a little bit more to mindset. You've got started, you're feeling good. Things to make sure that you're committed and you're dedicated. We can keep moving forward. We move into the phase 3 of the program, and then we start talking a little bit about exercise. And the exercise, again, is always going to be from where you started before. For some people, it was intense activity levels, and for some people, it's completely sedentary. So we really walk through how to map out an exercise routine for yourself. And then we, again, the following week, we talk a little bit more about sleep hygiene protocols. The following week, we talk a little bit more about time management, stress, and it just builds. One of the modules is a cooking class. One of the modules talks about like non-scale victories and like a lot of things to just really tune in and appreciate the quality of life that you're living, and all of those, I call them the NSVs, right? Like on a daily basis, all of those extra things you notice. So again, the intention is that you just get a new module once a week, and that week you just have a little bit more something to focus on that builds from the last. And so simple workbook exercises, really designed that you can just integrate it easily into your life. And by the time you've completed the 12 weeks, the intention is that you really have gone through a transformation. And we talked about that education piece of it, that you've learned so much about yourself just working through the modules gently, and they're guiding you through each week. And so I was so excited to put this together in a way that was just more value added support. On top of it, there's always weekly accountability check-ins with me. Always. We do check-ins every Friday, you and I, Kat.
Yeah.
And everybody's the same. So we're always going to do those accountability check-ins. And then on top of that, there's also weekly Zoom rooms, meetings, unlimited, email support. I always want to make sure you feel very supported and guided every step of the way.
I love that you have that too, because I love that as an option, because for some people, community is everything. They want to speak with other people who are on the program. They want to be able to hear more out from you on a weekly basis. So you have, I know you have your Wellness Wednesday on social too. So I feel like there's so many ways to reach out for a community. But if you, also you're the type of person that does not want to be involved in that you're like, I just want to focus on me. I want Jen to be there as my coach, who's your biggest cheerleader, by the way. You're such a good cheerleader. Every time I tell you every little milestone, every little thing, you're like, yeah. So it's so important to have someone in your corner that gets it too, because keep in mind, for a lot of people, I think what holds them back from doing things like this is because they might feel like they don't have anyone around them to cheer them on. And I know that's sad to say, but the truth is, there's some people who are struggling, and maybe they struggle in silence, but they're struggling. And it's quite possible. And I've heard of this before where, maybe even your own partner is like, nah, you don't got to do anything. You don't need to worry about it. But you're like, well, I do want to do this for myself. So I think it's important for those people to have that sense of community. Do you find that really helps those who need to talk about it?
And you know what? This is actually one of the things that we brought into some of the modules, is just like how to lean on for the support within your lifestyle in a way that makes sense for you. And so some people, you're absolutely right. They love that we have an added accountability group. It is a Facebook group where you can join and have the community support. And then some people do just prefer that one-on-one. They're a little bit more focused on their own goals, and it's a private journey for them that they're working through, and their experience, their own experience. And so it's nice that you have options, because either way, you're going to get the outcome that you're looking for. And so this way you can kind of choose the level of support that's best for you.
Yeah, I love it. I love that there's options there, because everybody's different, and that's okay. It's okay to not really want to talk to anybody else about it except for your coach, and do your own thing and just
For sure.
work and focus for yourself. You mentioned, and you touched on, you chat about this online. Actually, honestly, I go on your Instagram profile often because I do it for recipes and meal ideas, and you've got a ton of them. And we should mention, as part of this program as well, you're going to get all kinds of information. Don't let it overwhelm you, but I will say those recipes are phenomenal. Like, I still flip through them all the time. And that's I think that's a really, really nice part of it too, is that you can say, okay, here's a good idea, or a different way to use foods. Because like I mentioned, there's some on my list, for example, and I'm like, how do I cook that? Or what do I cook that with? Or what tastes good with that? So I do find the recipe list to be great too.
Yeah. And again, we want to make sure you're set up for absolute success. So in the beginning, of course, you get your plan. We fully go through your plan so that makes sense. There's a getting started guide with frequently asked questions. There is recipe books that are sent to you. And then on top of it, there is those resources. My personal Instagram, I have hundreds of highlights. Like, there's literally hundreds of photos there to give you so much inspiration, recipes, ideas. And then there's also a Metabolic Balance Facebook group that has thousands of members in it. And they're putting their creative spins on all sorts of recipes. So there's never ever an end to the creations and the recipes and what you can make. And some people love to dive into that, and some people love to keep, they keep a lot of their things fairly simple, and that's okay too. It's just nice to know that, again, options.
Yeah. I love when you're able to set up, like, I'm at the stage now where I just kind of set up my routine of everything, and my prep days are Sundays, and everyone's different, right? Everyone has a different schedule, whether it's a work schedule. We should mention, because it doesn't matter what time you get up in the morning, what time you go to bed, this program can absolutely work for you. It's not like for 9 to 5ers only, or for people who like this only or like that. It really is for a wide range of people, men, women, no matter what time you get up, because I get up at stupid o'clock during the week. So my prep days on Sundays is when I'll prep actually my morning oats that we talked about. But what I love about it too is I've been getting like my kids involved. My kids started having, my morning oats, and teaching them about, nutrition and everything else. So I think what's important too, for people who feel, I'm so busy to prep. I mean, you don't have to. If you feel like in the moment, you can purchase yourself groceries that make sense for you to in the moment throw together. You can do that. I just for example, I just fried up a quick egg today, sliced up some avocado with it, put it on rye. That works for me as one of my meals that I do. That's like a quick and simple, no brainer kind of thing. But you can get elaborate, and you can bring in family members, and you can, set an afternoon where you're like, this is the afternoon I'm going to prep for it. So I feel like it's nothing that people should be freaking out about. It's not like you have to buy certain foods that are only, for you. We should mention that too. This is go to whatever grocery store you want, look for whatever foods you want on your list, right? It really is a program that's tailored to you.
Absolutely. And it's your local grocery store. A lot of people are these like specialty foods that I have to source out. It's like literally your local grocery store. is going to have what you need. And it really is designed around being a family-friendly like program as well, because that's so important. Like you mentioned it. So first off, I get so much feedback when I'm working with individual clients and they're like, oh my goodness, my partner or my kids, and like they're eating healthier and they're feeling better and like they're thrilled for me. Again, it's also when we're focusing on hormonal balance, it's a massive mood enhancement. And all of a sudden people are like, I'm feeling so much better, but like mentally, my mental clarity and energy, and I'm happier, right? Because our hormone production, of course, stimulates our serotonin and our dopamine. And so sometimes people message me, they're like, my family thanks you because I'm literally just a happier person. Like they say thank you. And so it's so funny. But the other thing too is I often will say like it's family friendly meal. So I often refer to like Taco Tuesday because we always do Taco Tuesday in our house. And okay, great. So we're going to saute up some protein, whether it's like chicken or beef. We're going to saute up some like peppers. And sure, I might do a taco salad and I might put out like tortillas for the kids because that's their preference right now. But like everyone's having Taco Tuesday. So you're not isolated over here. Like, you know, I'm having my meal over here and the family's eating something different. You really get to bring it into a place where, while there may be a few little tweaks or modifications, everyone, the staple of the meal is the same. And I think that's important for busy families too.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's been key for us. And even like getting to see everything my husband gets to see me, he's like, okay, maybe I should look into that because you're still eating really good. And like, there's nothing wrong with it. And I feel like, yeah, there shouldn't be anything wrong with it. This should be a lifestyle. Like, I mean, and again, like, I mean, I had the success I had through the summer months. I like to mention that because I think it's important. I had 3 weeks of vacation. Okay. So 3 weeks of like, and yes, you can treat yourself in between, but obviously you find that that's the key word is balance. Obviously you find that balance, right? And with that, I was still able to find success, and I plan to continue on, and I will continue on with it because I don't even think of it as a program anymore. And I don't want any negative connotation when we do say program, because people think, okay, so it's like a yo-yo, I'm going to do it and then maybe I'll find success. And then no, I mean, if you really, you'll love this as a lifestyle. I really think that this is important for people to know that, right?
I think, yeah, I usually tell people I find it's around the 6-week mark. So in the beginning, sure, you're starting a new program, you get your plan, you're reading it, you're figuring out your meals, you're learning about it. But truly it is around that 6-week mark where it really takes a turn where you're like, I'm not on a program at all. Like I actually just took the time to learn about my body and learn about how foods are going to affect my body. And I'm really starting to take this turn of like, well, this is just how I live now. Right. And so it really, the intention is exactly not so much a program at all as more it is a learning curve where you get to that place for sure.
Do you feel like we are, going back to preventative and what you're doing is kind of good and you're setting yourself up for success as you get older? And as we get older, it gets, like it doesn't have to get harder because if you have something like this, you're good. But do you think that we're going to get to a place soon where we can focus on, things like this, like nutrition before, it gets too late for a lot of people? And then it's, oh, here's a script for this. Here's a script for that. Oh, I have this and I have that. Do you feel like we're making any progress at all?
I mean, I certainly want to believe so for sure. I still think that unfortunately, especially where we are, like in North America, we live in a pretty toxic environment. We live in an environment, in my opinion, that has a really broken nutrition system. The quality of our nutrition is inadequate. And so it poses challenges for sure. That being said, I always tell people when we have an initial consultation or we're discussing, if you are in a fortunate enough position to be on that preventative side of the healthcare system, you are not dependent on, medications, then that is a place that we do not take for granted, because and that's okay. I do get a lot of calls around post-diagnosis, and it's okay because we can work through them. But of course, those pose more challenges once you're already there. I just got put on blood pressure meds. I just got put on cholesterol, diabetic, whatever it is. And so now we're working on reversal, and like prevention over prescription is certainly going to be the best place to work from. So this is where we want to realize that that's so important not to take for granted. The other thing I will touch on it as well is I work with so many perimenopausal and menopausal women that if they could have learned this in their earlier or prior, you can ease through those years. And we've kind of been made to believe, oh, this is just what you go through. Everybody goes through this. It's just like an awful decade of life. Good luck to you. See you later. Here's some estrogen cream. And like it's not, and it doesn't have to be. Of course, there is these life changes. and we are going to experience them as women, but you have absolutely have control over how you can, live your life, and you can make those years so much easier. I have so many women, they're like, I cannot believe my hot flashes are gone. I cannot believe I'm finally sleeping through the night again. I feel good again. And so that's another big area that you don't have to suffer. So for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah. And you mentioned the perimenopause thing too. And I think a lot of people, I don't think the education is there either, because I feel like they teach you things in health class and then you go about your life. And then it's you later on in life, maybe like doing the Google search of like, what the heck is happening to my body? And do I see a
Yeah.
doctor? So I'm glad that you mentioned it, and that this can help with all kinds of things and what you call your pillars of health. Can you go over the pillars of health real quick as well?
Yeah. So nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress management. And all four of those work so synergistically together. So as the nutritionist, yes, people come to me for their custom nutrition plan. And I do believe it's the foundation, it's the anchor. But at the same time, the exercise, and it doesn't have to be, but just things that feel good for the body, gentle movement, mobility work. Quality sleep, in my opinion, is actually the one pillar of health that it just goes too often it goes overlooked, because you need to get into your REM sleep cycle for our liver does what's called a phase 1, phase 2 detoxification. So phase 1 is all day, right? It's kind of filtering the toxins, all day. And then we do phase 2, where it's like kind of that deep cleanse only during your REM sleep cycle. And so many people are not getting into the REM sleep cycle because they're struggling with their pillar of health, with the sleep pillar. And then things are starting to get congested, and it really affects, again, brain fog, mental clarity. A lot of people who are up in the night, if you wake up around that, let's say 2 to 4 a.m., oftentimes it can be some congestion in the liver, it gets into the bloodstream, it wakes us up. Then we're wide awake. And we're like, why am I lying here at 3 o'clock in the morning wide awake? But then 3 p.m. the next day, absolute crash, reaching for caffeine, really struggling. And that's not normal. It's common, but it doesn't mean it's normal. You don't need to live like that. We just need to get you a little decongested, and then we just need to focus on your hormones. And then the last pillar is stress. And a lot of us live in really stressful environments. We've, again, kind of grown accustomed to this very, very fast-paced life. And so focusing on things that are going to be really, really valuable to our self-care. Maybe it means setting boundaries. Maybe it means setting, time in your day that's specific to you. And we go through a lot of things when it comes to the stress management piece. There's a lot of protocols that you can put in place, things that can really help you. But what I tell everyone, the best thing you can do to support the stress in your life, the stress pillar, is actually put a lot of focus on the other 3 pillars. Because when we can really focus on how we're fueling your body, adequate nutrients, good hydration, a little bit better mobility, definitely better quality of sleep, oh my gosh, the stress starts to lift. And it doesn't mean that stressful situations disappear, right? We have life and work and families and health, or things that are going on in our life. But all of a sudden, you just wake up every morning with, again, that energy, that mental clarity and focus. And all of a sudden, you just feel like, okay, like, one day at a time, whatever, we can work through these things. And so often when I do because we do the pillars of health review, we'll review them as we go, kind of where you're starting and how they go. So many people, that stress pillar is just so much better because of the attention that they've given their self-care.
You almost reverse the domino effect of it all, right? You almost get to go back and go, oh, everything's kind of standing back upright where it should be. Right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. I want to mention, and I'm going to get to you to make sure that that you mention everything that you want to mention with the program. But this is for anybody, anywhere. I want to stress that, just because we do have podcast listeners, and we do have people on, on social that are from all kinds of different places. So if you're thinking, oh, this is only if I'm able to meet face to face, and that's not the case. You can actually all do this from a distance, right?
Yes, I work with clients literally all over the world. I have clients in pretty much every continent, actually, which is really, really cool. So yes, you can be anywhere in the world, and we have everything in place depending on where you're located. To obviously, the most important thing is the blood work. Hands down, you have to do full panel of labs. Have to in order to generate your plan. But it doesn't matter where you live. We do have a solution to obtain those labs. And yes, I can work with anyone, anywhere.
And you're so helpful with things too, because I know you sent me some recommendations. For example, I have really bad iron. There you guys could go. I'll give you guys that info about myself. But you were great with sending me like a nice like supplements that'll work great for me, and they do, or anytime that I need something, I typically reach out to you to say, is this okay or is this not okay?
Yeah.
And you're so good with answering. So thank you for that.
And I think that's so important. It's part of the
Mhm.
learning curve. And I will tell you, as much as we are just, healing with food, every once in a while, we are going to see some, something on your labs that say, listen, in order for me to pick up your iron with nutrition alone, it's going to take a long time because the absorption of rate of iron is a slower pace. So here's an easy absorption, a gentle iron. We're going to keep it in for a couple months just until we get things to adequate value. And so there might be things that pop up on other people's nutrition plans that could use a little extra support. It's usually just for the first couple of months, and then we carry on from there.
Yeah. And then diet takes care of it. It's amazing what we
Yeah.
put in our body. And that's what it's all about, right? How it makes a difference. Is there anything else that you want to mention to people too about the Metabolic Balance program, or anything that they might not consider or think about?
I think it's just so important to know that despite what sometimes we feel, the body actually is always working for us. It is always looking to heal. And so many people come to me with immense frustration. Trust me, Jen, I have literally tried it all. I've tried everything. My body is just not responding. It's not working. And so it is a significant difference when we actually look at everything that is happening in your body and we create a nutrition plan for you. What I can certainly tell people is within 1 week, you will absolutely feel a difference. For those who are looking for weight loss, you will notice weight loss coming off for sure, and you will noticeably start to feel so much better. So one of the most rewarding parts is it doesn't take months. It's not like, okay, I'm going to start this in a few months and I might just start to feel better. It is amazing, again, how much the body is working for you and how quickly you do start to feel that it's taking effect. This is really working. And it's so motivating and rewarding to be like, well, this works. This is what I'm going to keep doing going forward. And then you have me and some team members who are also there for added support anytime you need it.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool how quick I felt better. Like instantly, it really is. And make sure that you guys use the promo code. Again, I'll tell you what it is, but you can find all the details here. But it's CAT200, KAT200. Yeah, again, it'll all be in the description and on Instagram as well. Make sure that you throw a follow. Thank you so much, Jen. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Kat. Thank you.